Ricardo Katza, a man who has represented his country. I'm speaking about Bafana Bafana, of course, with 19 games. And also he was the captain of SuperSport United.
Now imagine you're a professional footballer. You fight the relegation for 3 years in a row. I don't know. I think God just prepared me. And I remembered, I said to myself, I will always play so someone else can see me. And when SuperSport signed me, and I remember that game we lost 1-0, it was my fault because I was mocking Itia from Madagascar, Mauritius. He said he wasn't impressed. He just wasted time. And then he said, as the game went along, he actually saw that this is the person that he wants. And they made me an offer the next day. I knew if I can go back, I would do grade 8 again. And I would really put a lot of effort into my schooling. You know, and then yes, God has given us the talent to play sports, and then there's schooling as well. You know, and I think if you're educated, and a lot of kids that come from the townships and all, they don't want to hear that. You know, they don't want to hear that. They want to know that we are good footballers. Still today, I'm a hard worker, and I'm very hard on myself. So I'm very we do it like this. So if you can, if it's in our control. If you have time to do it, let's do it properly. And, you know, this is how we want things done.
Ladies and gents, welcome to it. This is the podcast that ignites your light and keeps it burning bright. This is us here on EXC-i8. So in studio with me today is... a legend in his own rights in the world of local South African football, a man who has represented his country. I'm speaking about Bafana Bafana, of course, with 19 games. And also he was the captain of SuperSport United. Ricardo Katza, welcome. Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you to date still the most capped player in the history of SuperSport United?
No, not really.
Has that
I think
record been beaten?
Ronwen Williams, I think he's played like 500 games.
Oh, okay, okay.
I almost had the record.
Yes.
I had 3 games to go.
Yeah.
However, for 6 months, I was kept on the bench for some reason. I don't know.
Why did they do that? Hey?
Look, very difficult time in my career.
Okay.
Because, you know, when people come to you and say, "Oh, go to the coach, why is he not playing you?"
Right.
And I think the thing that almost killed me was when he brought a striker to play centre back.
Oh, wow.
And then it was a game on TV. It was against Amazulu. And then he went on TV. The coach went on TV and he said, "Oh, the striker that I've played today is probably one of our best centre backs." I was like, "Dude, I'm on the bench. I'm sitting on the bench. I was super fit at the time."
Were you still captain, or was this before?
So I was... You know, there was different, at that time, there was different captains. So you had your media captain, you had the on-field captain. And I was more off the field now. I was more the spokesman for the club. Yeah, very difficult time though.
But still a prolific career, right? Because you lifted 3 premiership titles with them, and a lot of other accolades in that time as well. And, you know, when I've heard glimpses of your story. I've read pieces of, you know, previous articles and everything. And what I picked up was that at the age of 14, you made the decision to walk away from football.
Yes.
Okay. And what was, you know, weighing down on you at that stage? What was, you know, going on mentally? Were you going through a difficult patch? Was there something hurting, or... Why the decision to walk away from it?
I think I started when I was 12.
Okay.
Obviously, growing up in a mixed religion family. My dad is Muslim, mom is Christian. So when I'm at mom's house, on that side of the family, it was all religious and, you know, praying and all those things.
Yes.
As soon as I stepped into that side, it was my friends and all the stuff going wrong and all those things. So, and then 12 towards 13, 14, now I started leaning more towards that side because now I was growing up, I could make my own decision. Also going into high school, so I found myself more to be at that side at the time. And then I was, at the time, I think it was standard 9. I think grade 11. Grade 11. So, I think for those 2-3 years from grade 11, grade 12, and then into 96, that's when I just decided look, I didn't want to be anything.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that I never wanted to play football.
Sure.
I
was surprised to read that as well.
Football.
Yeah.
Never wanted to be a footballer.
Yeah.
I think growing up on the Cape Flats, you get to see the lifestyle of the gangsters. You know, in our area where we stayed, that area was ruled by the Hard Livings, one of the biggest gangs in Cape Town, and then there's the Americans on the other side.
Yes.
So growing up and being in that area and being on the street all the time, seeing what's happening, you know. Never forget the one day the guy came into our area. He had an American outfit on.
Okay.
So went to the shop. The next thing you see the guy coming running for his life.
Oh my
because word. I think he was dressed in.
He was dressed in the wrong.
He was dressed. He was just dressed normally,
Yeah.
and then he was in the wrong area.
For sure.
And I think those things, for me personally, I'm a person that I'm not scared of things, but I'm very careful.
Okay.
You know, and then when stuff like that happened, I was like, ooh, I don't think that this is what I want to do. Obviously, there's friends. I know there's this word peer pressure.
Yes.
You know, your peers, and you know, but I don't think for me, I decided I wanted to do the things that they were doing. I was the last one to do everything.
Okay.
I was the one that used to take the cigarettes and put it out.
Yeah.
And then as time went along, it's like I would take one puff,
then
put it out, and then it was 2 puffs. The next thing I was the one now that people were coming to for cigarettes and all those things. So I've learned in my life that when I'm top of my game, I do things quite well.
Okay.
And when I'm going down the wrong path, I can also do that quite well. Okay. Scary though, it's a scary thing because now I don't know what it is about me that I know that I shouldn't go down this road, and then when I do go down, it's like I'm always like giving my best. Like
if
I'm here, let me just give my best. If I'm going to get punished, let it be for, you know,
for doing it right.
But however,
but do you think you know that it shows levels of commitment, right?
Yeah.
When you say, okay, when you do something, you commit to something, you're going to give it your best. And do you think, that must be the positive that you took out of that, and knowing yourself that once you committed to football, you're going to give it your best, and the record speaks for itself now.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people also don't know is that I turned pro in 1998.
Right.
When I played for 7 Stars. So again, I think the story before that, and I think the reason why I'm sitting here today, was the 29th of December 1996 when I came out to Jesus. I think that for me, staying in a Muslim home. Now, if you know how it works in those religions where if you turn, you get cut off completely. I'm my father's only child.
Sure.
So now you can imagine he's got a house that he's living in now, and there's so many things happening. If he passes on, I can't get anything. But I know there's also my aunts that stays with him and all those things. So I've got my own house. I've got my own family. So, I'm not too bothered about that part. But I know the Bible says we must honor our parents, and that's what I'm doing with my dad. In that time, then I started playing football in 98. So again, oh Lord, my uncle decided, because I played for the church. So, in how you grow up in your background and your culture and being colored, if you do anything on a Sunday, that's not spiritual, you're the devil. You're doing the devil's thing. So to imagine to play football on a Sunday. So I ended up only playing on Saturdays.
Okay.
So Sundays, I became a Sunday school teacher. I preached in the church in Gedi, which is a local church. Youth pastor, or I was in the youth, one of the leaders. And then God said to me that Psalms 37 verse 3 to 5, delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. Didn't know at the time what it meant. Somehow football then I enjoyed playing on Saturdays. Then Ricardo Katza, my uncle, drove past Greenpoint Stadium. So at the time was 7 Stars training. He got out of the car, went to Kevin and he said to him, there's a boy at home that wants to play football. Can he come for trial? I was like, when he came back, he's like, oh, you got a trial on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, okay, for what? He says football. So I went as a striker.
Yes.
At the time. And I remembered that morning, horrible, didn't even touch the ball.
Sure.
Because I think I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was to be a professional footballer.
Okay.
And then, I thought that was the end of the trial. And then 3 days later, Coach Gavin called me back. He said, we've got a game against Cape Town Spurs. At the time, David Mutisi was playing, those big names. Yes. I didn't know who that was. He just said to me, go play in the midfield. You see that guy with the dreadlocks, you go and mark him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I actually played well, surprisingly. And then the next day I signed my first professional contract.
Wow.
And then, that was for 6 months. The first 6 months I signed in December. Now, it's amazing that how I got born again in December. And then I signed
you signed in December.
2 years later. And now God just, I think those 2 years, it's where God just, the foundation was laid.
Yes.
Because I remembered when, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I remembered when I got born again and my dad then found the Bible and he gave me a choice. So I came back home and so what I used to do, I used to hide my Bible under my pillow. When everyone goes to sleep, I would go to the bathroom, read, and then come back. And then one day, obviously my aunt, Samila, she was the one that was cleaning the house and obviously found my Bible and then came back that side of the Bible. I was like, oh Lord, what's happening here? Because I didn't tell him that I got born again. Remember staying in a Muslim home?
Yeah.
And then, and he said to me, look, I think it was a week later when he found it, and then he said to me, look, it's either you can't do this in this house. And he gave me a choice, and I think he said to me, it's either you stay or you go. I remembered I said, Dad, as much as I love you, I've made a decision. I've accepted Jesus. And I think that was the best and easiest decision, one of the easiest decisions in my life, because I think nothing radical happened on that morning when I got born again.
Yeah.
Somehow I just knew that I got up and I came out to Jesus.
Yeah.
And I remember I took 2 of those food wall. There was a place. It's renamed now. It's a ShopRite in Westridge.
Okay.
There was 2 food. The normal checkers bags or whatever.
Yes.
Went to my cupboard. Everything that could fit in there, I just threw it in. My grandma stayed about a kilometer away. I said to him, Dad, I'm leaving. So I took my stuff. I hooked these 2 bags.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the emotions if there was any.
Sure.
But when I opened the door, my grandma and my grandpa said, yes, we've prayed for this day. So,
And it's still quite a emotional moment, because I mean, you mentioned that accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior was the easiest thing, but I mean, one can't deny that, as a person, as a human, the repercussions that follow with it. I mean, the ultimatum that your father presents you, because now, yes, in one sense, you could look at it from a spiritual aspect, that you've lost your father here physically, but you've gained, your spiritual father. But I mean, still, just to have that connection severed, I mean, that must be tough.
Yeah, when they say, when you always hear that your parents or grandparents was praying for you, that was the reality for me.
Wow.
Then I realized, they were praying for me. So, and they said, we knew that day was coming.
So that was comfort and validation.
That was comfort. So I think that for those 2 years, I think for a year or so, I didn't go back to my dad's house.
Yeah.
Because now all my friends was there and all those things, So I was instantly delivered from smoking and drinking and all these things,
Wow.
Like I said, it wasn't radical, but I just knew.
You just knew.
So I've got a joke with my one friend, because that Saturday night on the 28th was my sister's birthday, or not my sister, was the friend or whatever. Sorry, my sister probably gonna say to me, I don't even know her birthday. But anyways, it was a birthday, and we wanted to drink, and there was nothing to drink. And I remember my friend Bradwell was with me. And then I said to him, tomorrow when I come out of church, I'm going to buy you 2 beers. Yeah. So when I see him, when I see him and I still see him, I still say to him, dude, I still owe you 2 beers. So that never happened. That was the last time. So God instantly,
that's amazing, eh?
Yeah, and then and I think it also helped me, because I think God knew where He was going to take me into. With the football, you have to attend events, and there's always alcohol, there's always things happening. And I think I was the one person out of the club that could go and I would have my own bucket of ice with Coke and cool drinks and all those things while others are drinking. But I've never judged the guys that I was with in those spaces, because I enjoyed being amongst people. I'm a people's person.
Right.
So, and then it happened, and then I think those 2 years, like I said, the foundation was laid.
Yes.
And before I went to play football,
Yes.
And I think also one of the things that actually still today, I'm a hard worker, and I'm very hard on myself.
Okay.
So I'm very like, we do it like this.
Yeah.
If you can, if it's in our control, if you have time to do it, let's do it properly. And, this is how we want things done. So that I do leave space for people to give their opinions, and that didn't sound right. There is space for if there's a different way to do it, as long as we do it.
Yes.
I've also been working with people that has been very like, you do it like this, you do it, and I
my
said to
way
myself,
or the highway type of thing.
So it's not for me. It's not the my way highway, but it's like, if you can do it, then we can do it well.
Yeah.
Let's do it well, because you never know who's watching, and that is what I took into my football career.
Sure.
And I remembered when I was playing for Hellenic. Now imagine you're a professional footballer, you fight a relegation for 3 years in a row. I don't know. I think God just prepared me. And I remembered I said to myself, I will always play so someone else can see me. And when SuperSport signed me, I didn't know that we played against Santos at Atlant Stadium. And Stan Matthews and Pizzo Mosamani, who was the coach at the time, they were in the stands. They flew all the way to come and watch me, and I didn't know that.
Really? That's amazing.
And I remember that game we lost 1-0. It was my fault because I was marking Mark Itia from Madagascar, Mauritius. He's very strong in the air, so I was strong in the air. And I remember I passed him on once, and then he headed the ball back and they scored. Oh. And then the next day, Pizzo told me, he says, you shouldn't have left him. It's like, yeah, I know. We were watching, and but if you listen to what Pizzo says I wrote a book, and then he wrote the foreword, and he said that when he saw me first, he wasn't impressed. I was skinny, I was this, I was that, and he might said a lot of things. It's not nice if you're in a bad space. If you read that, it's not nice. But I thank God that I'm in a good space. So every time when I read it, it's like, first impressions, they say loss. But I think in my case, that wasn't the case, because he said he wasn't impressed. He just wasted time. And then he said, as the game went along, he actually saw that this is the person that he wants. And they made me an offer the next day. I signed for SuperSport while being a Hellenic player. Yeah. And the last game of the season was Hellenic versus SuperSport. So I was a Hellenic SuperSport player, playing for Hellenic, playing against SuperSport. But there was more, because if SuperSport lost the game, they would miss out on playing Champions League. Right. If they drew the game, then... So I was like... I didn't throw the game, but I was like, oh, I'm going somewhere.
You're going somewhere.
And we drew the game, or we lost the game. And then SuperSport qualified for the Champions League.
Okay.
And I came to Johannesburg, to Pretoria.
Yeah.
Got in the bus, 24 hours, 22-hour bus. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know Pretoria. I didn't know. And remember now, that was 98. And in 2000, I still didn't know what football was.
Wow.
I was in the spaces. They would pick me up. People would see me on TV. I would walk in the mall.
But you felt like you didn't know what football... Yeah. You're still learning.
I almost lost it also. Because when I played for 7 Stars, and then 7 Stars became Ajax Cape Town. That's when that big deal between Amsterdam and got placed. And then you went from wearing tracksuits to a match to now wearing suits, and you're being picked up and all these things and you got a phone now. Yeah. All these things. And then it went to my head, and then I was told by John Comitas the one morning that, look, you're going to send me out on loan. I went to the first division for Avondale. Now I had to get to train by myself. I need to get my own training kit, own boots and all these things. At Ajax, they gave you everything. Right. Yeah. And then God said to me that I'm going to give you a career, but you need to bring your part. Wow. And that's where it clicked. It's like, okay, I can actually make a career. Yeah. From kicking people and then playing with them afterwards. And so up to the day I still say to people, I said, what did you do? How did you? I said, like, no, I used to kick people for 14 years and I got paid.
And you got paid for it.
Yeah, and I prayed for them afterwards. And,
Okay, you trialed as a striker, because I'm just thinking now you got paid for kicking people for a living, and then when does the decision then come to, who makes the decision to play you as a defender? Because you trialed as a striker, not long after that you
played in the midfield.
You go in the midfield. So is that where they started seeing the potential to use you as a defender?
Yes, I think so. I think also growing up. Someone made a joke the other day.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about it. So what I didn't know that something happened while I was in my mom's womb, or growing in those 9 months, and then something happened between mom and dad, and then I don't know. They said she got kicked or something happened, and then someone said the other day, "Look at how God." Turn it around, and now you've kicked people.
Now you've kicked
people for 14 years. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I think being in that space and not knowing what it was. And I remembered playing for 7 Stars and then Dylan Seppert. Actually, my first game was as a left winger.
Okay.
But I remembered at 7 Stars, it was Jeff Butler. The EXC-i8 is not here anymore. He played me as a left winger. I played for 75 minutes, and that was it. And then I was in the team or in the squad and all those things. And then I remember Dylan Seppert got injured. He played SuperSport. It's again December.
Yeah, again in December.
In December. It's amazing.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then he played left back, and he when he got back, I played all the last games at left back. He never came back. I got Young Player of the Year with him.
Oh, wow.
I only played 6 games that first season.
Okay.
So
you must have made quite an impact in that first season. 6 games and to still get the Young Player award.
I got it, and I still have the award. It's in my mom's house. I was supposed to share it with him, but because the club wasn't existing anymore, I just took it over. And but I think also it's growing up and where I grew up. We were always running. We were always running for our lives. We always had to hide and always. But we had a small park at the back where we used to play. I broke my arm being a goalkeeper, but I was always the one that somehow the guys would see me as a leader.
Okay.
And I was always the one at the back.
Okay.
So I was almost like I was the defense of I'm not just talking on the field, but even in the streets.
In life,
I was the one that was the backbone of the group.
Okay.
And but I didn't even know that God has given me that leadership qualities and being a leader. So throughout my life and everywhere I've been after that, I've just been in positions of leadership.
So when you get approached to take on the captaincy role of SuperSport to United, was it something that in the back of your mind you knew would happen because you've always possessed leadership qualities, or was it a bit of a shock to you? Did you not know that you had those qualities at the time?
No, so when I was at Hellenic, I was made the captain as well of the team.
You were captain at Hellenic.
They had to blame someone if the team goes down.
Yeah.
They blame the captain. But again, like I said, I think those 3 years God really prepared me for what was coming. Because it's almost like if you're going to get the success you're going to get, I first need to teach you how to, to go to difficult times. And so when I got to SuperSport, Themba Mkunu was the captain. And I remembered that we were... So we come to Pretoria. Thomas Marigaki was a ZCC. Right. So what happened was there was a time we couldn't win or whatever, something like that, and then they would bring these people in to come and burn stuff and throw you all the water. And I remembered, and I said to me coming from Cape Town, I was like, "Oh, what's happening?" And then I went to the coach. I said, "Look, I respect whatever you guys are doing here. However, I don't know what it is, and can you please exclude me from this?" And it was a big thing because if you don't do what the team is doing and they lose, it's like everyone will blame you.
So were those things sort of like a ritual or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The time I didn't understand it, people throwing, they come into the change room and it's just cloudy and all those things.
Wow.
And then I just went to the coach and I said, "Coach, look, please exclude me." He said, no, everyone has to do it. I said to him, "Yeah, but I don't understand what you guys are doing, and also it's not my belief." And then he says, "Okay, fine." And And then they went in there at a meeting, they came back and says, everyone, you must do this. Ricardo, you don't have to do this. So then what used to happen was, when that ritual was happening, I used to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
I used to pray by myself and all those things. And what happened was Themba Nguni broke his ankle. We played against Chiefs at Johannesburg Stadium or Ellis Park. And then the guys started questioning, because as a Christian now, you think you know what is right. So let approach the coach and the team and say, hey, I think, and God said to me, no, take a step back. I will.
He'll correct it.
Yeah, he will correct it. And what happened was, because they knew I was praying by myself, so guys got questions. But if we're doing all these rituals, why is this happening? Why is the guy breaking his ankle? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then they called me and they said, no, you got to pray for us before every game. And that's how the praying started.
Okay.
They still do it.
That is amazing, hey?
So that's how it started, with the prayer. And then at the beginning, I was like big-headed, because now they're asking me. And then God said, why don't you guys just pray the Our Father? Because then you include everyone.
Everyone can.
Because also at the time, I was still growing up as a young Christian, your words, you don't know all the words, and you pray so. Then said, why don't you just pray the Our Father? Because then it includes everyone.
Yeah.
Because there was Muslim guys, there was a lot of people there, as well. And that's where the prayer started. But then I took a stand to say that, listen, I'm not going to do it. And then someone said to me, yeah, but when you get to the national team, they're doing the same thing and you're going to have to,
Yeah.
And the same thing happened.
Were they doing that at Bafana?
They were doing it. Stuart Baxter was the coach, and they were doing it. And I did the same thing. I walked up to him and said, Coach, please, I don't do this. I don't understand this. And obviously now people in the room, it's like, no, dude, you're going to have to do this. This is what we do. I said, Coach, then thank you for the call-up, but I'll rather decline. But that was like when we were there already. I said, no, you can go on the side, we'll do this and whatever. So I think that, I think if I didn't have that 2 years, going from my dad's house to my grandparents' house, in those 2 years, that 1 year, I think if I didn't have that in place, I think I would have fallen and said, nah, let me join, let me do. The one thing that I think I wasn't scared was not playing. I think as I grew in my career, I started to realize, I might not be the best player, but there's 3 things that I could do well. I could pass, I could header, and I could kick.
Yeah.
Those 3. And that's all I did for 14 years. I did that well.
Amazing.
And God, it's like He narrowed it down to those 3 things. I'm not a fancy guy, but I can do whatever needs to get done, and I'm a hard worker, and I stay behind, So, and it happened at Bafana, and then I said the same thing. I said, Coach, with all due respect, I'd rather not play.
Wow.
And that was at the start of my my career for Bafana.
So what happens then after that? Because of course we know you made 19 appearances. Yes. Did the same changes come into effect? Did they stop, with the rituals in the dressing room, or did they sort of carry on and you just did your thing?
So it wasn't done anymore in the change room.
Okay.
So I think when I spoke up, both at SuperSport and with the national team, the time I was there, it didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think God just worked it out like that certain things happened and people were questioning it, and and why is it not working when you're doing this ritual and things. And I think the time I was there for that 2005 till just before the World Cup, and being at SuperSport till 2012, it didn't happen while I was there.
Yeah.
So.
And then, look, for lack of a better word, I sort of want to address the elephant in the room, with you speaking about the rituals. And you look at, the bad luck that happened with, one of your former teammates that, broke his ankle. And you look at the performances of, our national squad. And, when I'm listening to this and, the forces that are in play, the thought pops into your head, like, do you wonder why, there's been such poor performances from a national standard for so long?
Yeah.
And, what's it going to take to change that? Because we've got so much talent in our country.
Yeah.
We see it on display, every weekend in the Premiership. We've seen talented players perform, on an international showcase and platform.
Yeah.
So why can't we just get it together nationally?
Yeah.
Could it be something like, a spiritual thing that is stopping, or is that too far-fetched to think?
Look, if I look at what Hugo Bros has done now, also with the team, because a lot of people at the beginning were complaining that he is too strict. That's what he said, too strict. And then I don't think that he allows those things.
Okay.
I think where other coaches allowed it, he does. For him, was strictly football. If you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it right, and this is how you're gonna do it. You know, so yeah, you can if from the point of view that you ask, like we can sit down thinking, oh, maybe because it was that. I think if I look at other countries and like England and all these other ones that's doing so well in football, I don't think they're doing any rituals.
Yeah.
You know, I think they just go
They
there.
probably don't even pray.
They don't even pray, and they're still doing well. You know, so yeah, it's not too far fetched. You know, I think in where we come from, in our cultures, in our background, South Africa, and you know, with all the beliefs and all these things, you know, it could be. But I don't want to put it down to that. I just think that
people will, you know, decide for themselves. You know, I'm a person of faith. You know, I'm a Christian, so I've got my beliefs, and you know, for me, it would make sense. You know, for me, the spiritual world is as real as the physical world. But obviously, there are people as well who don't believe, and they'll think, no, man, this is you know fairy tales or whatever. It's just hard work and discipline. Your team is not disciplined enough, or whatever the case is. But again, you know, I echo my sentiments that there's an abundance of talent in our country. We see it on display. We see it on international showcases and in moments as well. We had great moments in the 2010 World Cup. You know, that opening game drawing against Mexico. We defeated France as well. I think 3-1. 2-1. So, you know, we can do it. So for me, I think, you know, if you dabble in the spiritual realm, you open yourselves up to all kinds of attacks, whether it's, you know, from one side or the other. And if you cut it out, like we say, England, maybe they don't. You know, we can't really say. But if you're focusing just on the sport, the discipline, whatever, then you can get results in that. So there's room for both, I think. Your thoughts on that? You're
right. And for me, like I said to you earlier, that I'm a person like I'm doing school sports now, and then a lot of times when you go, like yesterday. So we play a tournament last week, and then we lost against a team on penalties in the final. And then yesterday we supposed to play the same team. We got to the school. There was no nets on the poles. It's their home ground. They only had 9 players. The coach wasn't there, and we ended up not playing the game. And we ended up training. And to me. That is where we need to get it right. You know, if you don't get it right at this level of school, and the other thing, the thing I'm very passionate about is the education of coaches at schools. You know, there's no teacher in a school that teaches there that's not qualified. And why do we have coaches? Even some coaches in the Premier League in South Africa that's not qualified and they're coaching.
Oh wow,
You know, so why? So now I've got this thing at school that if you want to coach with us, or if you want to work with our kids, you need to be qualified. Whether it's an entry-level D license or just a level 1 or, you know, introduction, you need to have some sort of qualification. And I think if we don't get it right there, then the talent will slip through our hands. Because now, as a coach, if you coach at a club, it's results. And if you coach at a school, it's not results, it's development.
Right.
You know, you need to get the kids through school, and there needs to be a balance. So you can't be having a coach that's only going to pick Ricardo because he's big, he can header well, he can kick well, he can pass well. What about little Tony that's also at the school? You know, so for me, if we don't get it right, if you're only going to have coaches there and people that's going to pick kids because they want to win, then it's wrong. So then you don't get to see the talent that's come to, and you do have a lot of talent. We just won the AFCON at under 20. And I'm asking you, how many of those kids are going to go on and play and come back into our national team? We had the same thing in 2015. We had the under-17s that qualified for the Chile World Cup. The reason why I remember that because 7 of those players I coached when I was at SuperSport. And they went, and a lot of them are not even playing football anymore. You know, because, you know, at the time we made football everything, forgetting that there's still an education, because when the football stops, or when the sport stops, and I know I was 34 when I stopped playing, never had education, so I had to start again. And that's why a lot of our footballers or sports people, they can't take it when the career stops and the money stops. And now you're expecting to get paid 200,000 because you were paid as a player, but the business world It doesn't work like
doesn't
that.
Work like
You need to be qualified.
Right.
You need to have experience. You need to know what's going on. And a lot of us, we don't take that 20,000. Into account. And we also don't want to take, when someone says to us, no, we'll pay you 15,000 or we'll pay you 20,000. A lot of us don't want to take that. And I remembered when I retired at 34 in 2012, my salary literally went from where it was to 15% of that salary. And it's like, good thing though. Good thing though that in 2005 when I got married to Adelaide, my wife, we've been married for 20 years now. I remember that when I met her, she was studying HR, and then we got married, and then she moved up with me, and then for a week or two, she was to sit home, and I said to her, "You need to go look for work, because when I met you, you were working."
Yeah.
And I'm glad that at the time that we made that decision, because when my salary got cut, we could then, because now when my career was up and it started going down, her career was going up.
She was taking off then.
And then we could rely on her.
It's still balanced then.
And there was a balance, yes.
Good.
And I'm glad that I can say this proudly about my wife, that she's not a footballer's wife.
Yeah.
Those that just wants to be in the limelight, and you won't even know she's there. Like I remembered she came to watch one of my games, and then I scored for SuperSport, and I was like, "Babes, did you see my goal?" She says, "Did you score?" I said, "What were you doing?" So I was reading a book. She was in the stands reading a book. But I think when I had my worst game for Bafana against the USA, I remember I got a 4 out of 10. I came off a 8 and 9 out of 10. We played Pirates. I got a 8 out of 10.
Right.
And then that was Wednesday. The Friday, Saturday, I got a 4 out of 10. But she was in the stands as well.
She watched that.
She did watch it. That's what I want to say on the other side. That so there was people sitting around her, not knowing that it's her husband. And they were talking badly about me, and she prayed for me. And I think that was the worst game of my career, as it's because I got a 4 and I wasn't prepared. Look, I got called on the Friday to come and play the Saturday.
Okay.
No one said anything to me. I didn't even think I was going to be in the squad. I remember there was 2 left backs at the camp.
Yeah.
That's like what's going on. I said with Kune, I remember that game. And I was like, no one. And the next thing I see, I'm in the team. It's not an excuse for the bad game, but I remembered I was off that weekend. And the next thing I'm going to play against the USA.
Yeah.
We lost 1-0, and I got booed by 40,000 people. I got taken off. Even before the game was done, I was told that I need to leave now because the flight is going to Durban, because I wasn't part of the plans.
Yeah.
And the next game was against Canada. So while the game was on for the national team, I had to rush to the airport to go, and I met the guys, and that was my last game for the national team.
Wow.
2009, I think 2010, just before the World Cup, I think that was the Nelson Mandela game that we played. And but in saying all these things, if I didn't have the foundation, if I didn't have the family, if I didn't have a wife that was praying for me,
yes.
If I didn't have a place I could go to, then I think I would have probably not be here today.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, because that is a big moment. It's such a horrible thing to experience. You're still a person.
Yeah.
Yes, you're representing the country, and I think a lot of the time people forget. You get so caught up as a fan or supporter, you forget that these are people.
Yeah.
And you start, when you become such a super fan, you become so fanatic.
Yeah.
You forget that anybody can have an off day, anybody can make a mistake, and we're so quick to just criticize harshly and boo people.
Sure.
And if you didn't have a solid foundation or support, like you say, things could have gone wrong. And I wanted to ask, how, in that moment, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And then what is the sort of the recovery process thereafter? Because I'm sure it must take its toll and, hold you down or hold you back.
Yeah.
So how are you getting up from that?
I think that was in 2010, just before the 2010 World Cup. Obviously, also, now you have a bad game like that.
Yeah.
You go to Durban, you play against Canada, you don't play. No one talks to you. A lot of people don't know that because I don't talk. I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
But like when I'm just letting you know what happened. And then back at my club as well, at SuperSport, now other players came in. You know, my career was going down.
So it's like you're being phased out and you're watching it happen.
Yes, and I literally watched it happen. But there was a moment in that 2010 to 2012 when my son Ryan got born in 2012.
Okay.
So I knew that, baby boy is coming again. And I wanted to be more at home than what I wanted to be at work.
Okay.
And when my love for the game just completely went down. And I wanted to be at home more. And I always said there's always two things that I wanted when my career was done. Is that I was still going to be a Christian, born again.
Right.
And I still want to have my family. Those were the two things that I always said, that when my career is done, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And up to the day still, and thank God that I still have a family, still have my wife, and I'm still born again.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that for me was when that happened, I knew I had a place that I could go to.
Yes.
I remembered Rasalamani, it's a striker, he played for SuperSport as well. And I remembered when he retired, the money just goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 1 month you see the money, the next month it's like, where's the money? And I remembered he committed suicide. He hanged himself in his garage, and because we don't know how to deal with it. And I'm grateful that what I didn't do. When I was at football, I gave my best. But when I was away from football, I gave my best to the things that was happening off the field, to my family, to my wife. And I think football was never the most important thing for me. Because I knew that I never wanted to be a footballer, but I also knew it was going to be taken. There's going to come a time when it's going to be taken away.
Right.
I think I prepared myself for that as well. Even though the way that it ended was so bad, because I had 3 games to go for the club records. If I played 1 more year, I was going to be the first player to make 10 years at the club as a player. And I had an option year, and they didn't take it. And I said to them, I remember I went to them, I said, I'll take half of the money that's in that contract. I just want 10 years. No, don't worry, the coach don't want this. And I said to them, okay, I know the coach don't want me, but can the club not give me 6 months? Give me those 3 games. No. We'll give you a benefit game. I said, benefit game is for 10 years. It's not for 9 years. So I've got a chapter in my book that says 9 years, 223 games and 31 minutes. Because that was the last year of my career. I played for 31 minutes.
Wow.
I was super fit. I overworked myself. I didn't want to prove to the coach I was ready. I just knew that I was ready to play, and I pushed myself over the edge, and I played for 30 minutes, and I tore all my ligaments in my calf, because I was just I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And I remember that was at Edgeridgeville, and that was the last time I played football.
Man.
And then
shucks. So there is such a thing as pushing yourself too hard, because you were fit.
Yeah, I was 34, and I was in the top 5 of 35 guys.
Wow.
And I'm talking about youngsters. These guys that I played with that's still playing today.
Yeah.
So I was one of the oldest guys. I was 34 years old, 33, 34, and I was I was in the top 5.
Man.
Because I was a hard worker.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew that those 3 things wasn't the only things that was going to keep me. I need to still work a little bit harder.
Yes.
So it's not easy. I think when you make football everything, or when you make the sport everything, when you make something everything apart from God, then you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
If God is always the one that you want to please, and I would rather lose this game or not play because I'm taking a stand for my belief.
Wow.
You know,
Powerful.
Then you're always going to have that way. Everything will just fall away. And I've seen guys. I've played with guys that was 10 times better than me. But they only played like for a year or 2.
Yeah.
Because lifestyle, because of different things, and you know, and how things happened. And look, for me, I think the other thing that also, if I didn't have a foundation at home and in God, when it comes to finances, when I was at the height of my career, like I was with like Timmy Tau of Chiefs and Lucky Lochati, those people, Michael Manzini, those captains at those big clubs, and I was in that bracket. and they were earning 200,000-300,000 a month. I was on 46,000. That's the most I got paid in my career. Now a lot of people think, 46,000 is a lot. No, not in what's happening now. There's guys now that get 500,000, 600,000 a month.
Crazy.
And I think the lesson that I've learned and what I've learned, that you play because you love the game. You also need to play to make money. You know, I just heard Trent that went to Real Madrid now. He's always been at Liverpool. People are like, no, he's always been at Liverpool. But he was never going to get the money he's getting at Real Madrid, at Liverpool. Because they will always see him as an academy player. And there comes a time where you need to make, and I think that's something in the career that I had as a footballer that I actually regret that I could have done better in that. Because there was moves to Pirates, to Chiefs, to Sundowns,
which would have set you up financially for the future and things like that.
To Germany, to FC Cologne. I still have the contract on my phone.
Wow.
There's stories behind that, and I should have been more firm in what I wanted for myself. Also goes back to I should have done better at school as well. I think I could have done better. The lesson that I've learned, if you ask me, Terence, I played almost 400 games.
Yeah.
Both national team and club football. I can say that game that I got a 4, and there's one game I played in Free State where I was also horrible. If I can go back and you give me a choice to play those games over, I would say I'd rather go back to grade 8 and take my schooling a bit more serious. Because when the money came, when the stuff came, I wasn't as clued up. I could have been better. I could have made better decisions if I had better capacity. There's so many things that happen. I would go back to grade 8. I say it now because I know what it means. I know what a little bit of education can do for you. I would go back to grade 8 and I would do my schooling. I would take it more serious.
You believe it would have equipped you better for those decisions, those big decisions?
Yes.
Because I wanted to ask, if you're comfortable, of course, in talking about it. You said that there were stories behind, the contract that came from Germany and why you didn't take it. Could you elaborate on what?
Yeah. So what happened was my agent at the time was also the CEO of the club.
Okay.
So what happens if a club wants you, they would then speak to your agent, and the agent would speak to you.
Right.
So my agent never spoke to me because the agent was the club.
Why? Okay, yeah.
Was part of the club, So then what used to happen was when these offers used to come, they used to offer me another year.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, they're offering me another year. Not knowing that there was bigger contracts on the table for me. And then the Germany one, I was supposed to go for 2 weeks before the transfer window closed. I was going to FC Cologne. And then what happened was the club was invited to Australia.
Okay.
And because I was the club captain at the time, I had to go with. So for my personal trip, I had to put that on hold and go with the club to Australia.
Right.
And I was supposed to go for 2 weeks. When I came back from Australia, there was like 3 days, like 5 days before the transfer window closed. I ended up still going to Germany. Played for FC Cologne at left back. I played for 45 minutes against Galatasaray. I didn't. Biggest disappointment in my football career. Because I always wanted to play in Germany, because Germany at the time was very straightforward.
Right.
This is how we do things, and it would suit my style of play because I'm not a fancy guy.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can do these 3 things.
That you know. Yeah.
And and then I was so angry at the club and at people in my life at the time. I decided to stay another week in Germany because I got me someone else to help me, and I just stayed with the guy for another week. I was like, I didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
And then when we came back in 2007, start of 2007-2008 season, we won the league 3 times in a row, and I was the captain. So I don't know. When I look at the contract, it's on my phone. It's the favorite on my phone. If I look at the figures, it's like, it could have been.
You could have,
But then
you wouldn't have come back and achieved the other great things.
Yeah, and then I listened to Macbeth Sibaya. Used to play in the Rasa. Played for the national team.
Yeah.
Played for Cosmos for a long time, Swallows. Pete, if you mention his names, it's Pete player. Yeah. He said to me that one day, he says, Ricardo, I've played World Cup, I've done this. He said, but I've never won a league. And he said to me, tell me how it feels. And it's like,
wow.
oh,
Imagine, hey?
This guy's asking me how it is. And I actually realized how massive it is to win the league.
Yeah.
And to win it 3 times in a row.
3 times in a row.
And then I know it's not a consolation for the terminating, but that's like God. It didn't happen, and then he gave me this other thing. And I think that then set me up for where I am today.
Of course.
And then when I retired, just before I retired, I got an offer from Golden Arrows, 2-year contract. Also, no one said anything to me.
Yeah.
So when I retired, I got a random phone call, and the guy said, oh, so why did you decline the offer? I said, like, what offer? I said, no, there was like a 2-year deal for you from Golden. I said, I didn't know.
You didn't know,
and it was
man.
already late. It was 6 months later.
Jeepers.
And
at that point, there's no backtracking and say, can we resolve it? Or?
No. I remembered also when Coach Kevin Johnson came, when I retired that year. So what used to happen, I worked at the academy, and then he used to invite us to come in, the coaches, and come and see what we was doing at the first team. And the one morning I got there, and my name was on the board they played 11-11, they needed one player.
Yeah.
Oh, my name is there. Anyways, because I was so fit, 6 months, I was still fit. Used to go to the gym every time, and then I played against guys that was now in my place,
Yeah.
And after that game, it was at Atterisville. They came to me and they said, don't you want to play 6 more months? And I said to him, Coach, if you know how my career ended, I said, I don't want to put myself and my family through the same thing.
Again.
I said, I'd rather stop. Even the place came to me and said, why don't you want? I said, no, maybe speak to the people that said that I shouldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't have a grudge or anything. But when I do speak about it, I can still feel like, and I'm asking God to help me. I don't want to be, I don't know where this emotion is coming from. If there's still a bit of anger,
right?
Because it shouldn't be like that. If you say we release people, then it means we release people. Right. And sometimes when I speak about it, I still feel like there's a bit of anger. Like it could have been better. It could have been this, and I don't want to. Honestly, I think what God has done with my life, I don't want to go back into the past.
Right.
I remembered also when I was 40 years old, when I turned 40, I found out something that happened in my family, like almost 40 years ago, 39 years old, 35 years ago. And then someone said to me, why don't you go back to them and ask them? I said, like, why must I go back?
Yeah.
When God has given me, blessed me with a family, I've got my own family, I don't want to go back there, because what's going to benefit me to go back? Because maybe it's just going to bring a lot of anger stuff.
Right.
And so I think, like, even now doing this interview, and I've like, when you speak about things, like, why do I still feel the way?
It opens up old wounds or
so I really just trusting God and asking Him to continuously to help me not to feel like that.
Well, I think if you continue in that prayer and you acknowledge that transgression or that area that needs development, it will get there. And I think it's a perfectly natural human thing to do. We have a mind, we have thoughts, we reflect. And I think Paul, if I'm not mistaken, wrestles with the same thing. There's a passage of scripture, and I paraphrase, where he prays to God and he tells God that he's been dealing with this thorn in his side for
his flesh,
and then God obviously goes on to tell him that my grace is sufficient for you. So we just got to lean on the grace of God, and as long as you're talking to God about it and working through it, there will become a point where you are completely healed and you won't really feel that anymore.
Thank you for that.
Oh, God bless you, brother. God bless you.
I needed to hear that, because at times it does, it gets tough.
Yeah.
But I think also that God has given me a heart for people.
Yeah.
I honestly don't bear grudges, as far as I can remember. I don't.
Yeah.
There's no one that I really...
Yeah.
I'm a people's person. I love being amongst people.
Yeah.
I've got 11 people working with me in the sports office. And one of the biggest things I always say to them is that I wish I had someone when I was 20 years old that could do what I'm doing to you now, where giving you the platform to learn and to do things.
Right. So perhaps that's part of the bigger purpose, because you work with kids now, right?
I work with kids, yes.
And what has that been like for you? Does it feel therapeutic at all?
It's been good. It's been good. I always say to the staff that I'm working with, I said, if you want to form a love tank, you grow in your spaces. That that where I've given you a platform, or God has allowed me to give you a platform.
Yeah.
Because what I've done is I've let people head up the sporting codes.
Yeah.
And I let them run it. I let them get people, and I'll be in the interviews and all those things. But I let people do what they, and that fills me up. And working with kids, I was at Grey College for 4 years. I moved there in 2018.
Yeah.
Spent 4 years there, and then I came here to the King's College in Bryanston. And that's where I've learned how to balance the education with the sport.
Right.
Because a long time for me, it was the sports.
Right.
Football is different to the cricket in our country. It's different to the rugby. You look at Rataba yesterday again.
Yes, amazing performance.
But he's got an education. You can't say that a lot about footballers. Because the structures are not in place. So to balance out sports and education for me, it's really a big thing.
Do you think that more work can be put into getting that kind of message out there to young footballers? Because I'm sure from the outside looking in, if for instance a kid in a rural village or even a township, maybe they focus too much that football, soccer is going to be their way out, and what do we do to break that cycle with them coming in with the same mentality? Is there enough being done to bridge that gap and to educate them, get the message out there that your education is just as important as your football?
I think if you have your own kids, like I've got 3 kids, Chloe, Aiden and Ryan. Chloe's done with school last year, Aiden is finishing school this year, and Ryan is in grade 7, so he's still got 5 or 6 years to go. But I remember 2 years ago, I sat down with Aiden, my son that's matric now, he's a footballer, and I said to him, dude, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to play football, or do you want to, what is it? And I said to him, but Daddy doesn't want you to play football just because Daddy played. He said, no, Dad, I want to be a chartered accountant. I was like, okay. So like, again, because I wasn't educated, I'm not, like, what, a chartered accountant? And that's that guy with the figures. And, okay. And then I see his reports, and he gets 80 and 85% for maths. I was like, okay.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now I also know that he can play football as well. Yeah. But now, instead of now sending him to a club at 17, I would rather, because now he's in 2 weeks' time, he's going for a trial at Marty's, at Stellenbosch, at the university. Right. To get into a scholarship or whatever, to get into Marty's. Yeah. Now I know that there will be a balance between the two. And in my own house, I think that's the conversation that we as coaches need to have with the kids that we are coaching. Kids, right. And to let them know that, and I'm big on this, like I coach the first team at the school. If I hear that you're not doing right in the school, you're not playing. Yeah. But coach, it's important. I said, no, your education for me is more important than a school football game. Yeah. Because it's just another game. It's not like professional football. Yeah. I said your education is more important. And I think if we as coaches can be more in the way that we speak to kids. It's not, at school level, I worked with Kwanile Copper, used to be the technical director for the academy at SuperSport. And it's like, this is the one thing I will take with me wherever I go. He used to say to me, he said, Ricardo, I will never fire you for losing a game at the academy level. He says, our goal at the academy is to produce players for the first team. Yeah. He says nothing else. He says, you can win all the games in the academy. If your first team is not performing and they get relegated, then this academy means nothing. It's like, okay. And I've taken that same words and I said to the staff, I said to them, I will never let you go or whatever, or tell people to let you go because you've lost a school tournament or a school game. I said, our purpose here is to develop the kids. And if you develop it right, the results will come later. Yes. I said, one day when you sit at home and that kid has an interview and he says, I remembered Coach Steph used to say to me, did you do your homework? Yeah. Yes, we're going to do sports, but did you do your homework? And you'll see one day kids will do that. Kids will do that with the coach if you take care of them. And I think we as coaches, we need to be, and as parents as well, I'm talking as a parent, or it says as aunts and uncles, that we need to educate our kids more that the school is, as sports is important, but school is also important. Right. And there needs to be a balance between the two. Again, like I said to you, if I can go back, I would do grade 8 again, and I would really put a lot of effort into my schooling, and then, yes, God has given us the talent to play sports, and then there's schooling as well. Yeah. And I think if you're educated, And a lot of kids that come from the townships and all, they don't want to hear that. You know, they don't want to hear that. They want to know that, we are good footballers.
Okay. And then usually I would ask, for advice to pass on to the youth. But I think you've given so many nuggets in there. Is there any other additional piece that you can, because I mean, you've said amazing things, but if there is anything you could add on, what more advice could you pass on?
I think, so again, I think it makes it a bit easier for me as a parent, because I've got 2 boys and I've got a daughter. And I think what we try to do at home, like I would say to my kids that your report card that you bring back, that's a reflection of your work that you've put in. I said, but manners and how we speak to people,
that's good.
And the respect that comes from the home.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of people have asked for my kids to come and play. No, this one said, it's because it's my kid. I was like, no. I've got a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old that still needs to understand that making up your bed in the morning is important.
Yeah.
Getting up on time and getting ready for school is important. Because once they go out there into that spaces of being a sports person, it's your career. Then there's no time for these things. And that's why for me, it's important that the stuff that you learn at home is the stuff that's going to keep you in your career longer.
Yeah.
You know, if you have respect for people at home, you're going to have respect for people at the school. You're going to have respect for your coaches. You're going to have respect for referees and linesmen and all these people. You know, if you greet people, if you walk past something and there's something on the ground, you can pick it up. Because at home, we don't. At home, if you don't pick up something that you've thrown on the ground, you're going to know that you need to pick it up. So why do we do it when... And that's always the thing that I speak to the kids, especially at the King's College, because that's where I am most of the time. And I will always say to them, I said, there's a lot of things that I will let go. I said, but respect is the one thing that I'm not saying I'm going to demand from you. I'm going to give you that respect because respect doesn't have an age, it doesn't have a culture, it doesn't have a background, it doesn't have a financial. Respect is respect, whether it's respect is respect. Yeah. And I think for me, for an encourage us as parents is to keep putting those things in place.
For sure.
Because when our kids, when they go out there, when you have to stand up and say, Coach, I don't know what this is, please take me out. Then the kid his identity is not found in his game. His identity is found in what you guys have done at home, and it's found in the Lord if you have a relationship with Him.
Yeah.
You know, so I've lost a lot of games. In my career, I've lost a lot of games as a coach. But I also know that in those moments, it didn't define me as a person because my identity was not in the results. My identity is in Christ Jesus.
Amen.
And for me, it's important that my kids understand that.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't even look at my kids' reports. I said, did you give your best? Did you do well? Are you happy? You know, and they know that, Dad, I could have done better. I said, no, then do better. I said, you know, they can call me for anything at school, but don't let they call me because you've been disrespectful to one of the teachers. I said, that is a reflection on us as a family. It's not just a reflection on you. And I think that for me is important, that because I can tell you now, the sporting world out there, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's the one day you're up, the next day you're down. The one day you find yourself in a situation where everyone has to go to this place because it's a club thing. And if you're not strong enough, what is it that you're going to do? If you find yourself alone at home, are you going to remember, I remember there's a place that we went to. Maybe I should go back there because it was nice. You know, we need to put those things in place. And I know not every home is the same. You know, there's kids that grow up without parents. There's kids that grow up with single parents. Yeah. Some of us are privileged to have both our parents in the house. You know, so yeah, it's important that those pillars are being put in place. So when the building gets shaken, then you know that you will be able to stand because also it's on the foundation.
That's right.
And then for me, as a parent, I'm not one of those dads that, you must play football because daddy played. Yeah. Go to the World Cup because daddy didn't go to the World Cup. Go play overseas because daddy didn't. No. Are you happy? You want to be a chartered accountant? You want to be a brain surgeon? You know it's going to take hard work. Yeah. And to me, I keep preaching to my kids, it's hard work. I said, if you want to be a content creator,
yeah,
it's a certain way the angle, the camera needs to be. I said, there's hard work.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get it right, someone else is going to get it right. I said, there's hours that goes into things.
Sure.
You know, you want to be a poet, there's hours that goes into the writing. So I think we live in a generation of our kids, not like when we grow up, we knew that if you don't work for something, it's just, it's not. Now it's like they think everything is easy.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, that's my encouragement. And yes, we do get it wrong.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't define us. You know, we can just learn from it. And the times when we do get it right, that we will just remain humble, and not over, like celebrate or whatever, looking down on people.
Not get too carried away.
Not getting carried away, So it's moments like that for me, I cherish it. I'm a present dad. I want to be present for my kids. There was a time when I wasn't present. I was there, but I wasn't there. You're there, but you're not there. And just my kids to be happy, my wife to be happy.
Yeah.
At the same time, that also knowing that as dad, as Ricardo, as father, as husband, as whoever, Connect Group leader, I also need to be happy.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says that we must work out our own salvation.
Yeah.
We have to look after ourselves. We must guard our own heart.
Yeah.
It's not my wife's responsibility to guard my heart. I need to watch my own God.
Yeah.
I need to live others' life that God has given me.
That's right.
Give him the best so that they get the best from me.
Awesome. Beautifully said, Ricardo. Thank you so much, man. Please tell us, where can we get your book?
So the book, you have another 2 hours, that's another story. So the book was written in 2013. It didn't go as I planned it would go. It was never published. It was published, it never went into the shops.
Okay.
That's another story.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those stories I said to you earlier. When you speak about someone, you still feel like,
Okay.
So I don't want to go into that. There was 1,000 copies printed, and the extra 500 that I didn't know about. The good of the book overshadowed all the bad things of the book. So the guy left with the copyright. He wants me to pay for it. I said I'm not gonna pay because he took advantage of me and all those things. That's that's another story. But I don't have copies left. That was in 2013. One thing about that book, it was something that I wanted to do, and it wasn't a family thing. And I remember that day when we signed the final thing. I remember my wife wasn't happy.
Okay.
And I didn't know until she told me. She said to me, Ricardo, that was a Ricardo thing. It wasn't a family thing. And so the book is not there anymore. But I've learned from that if I wanted something to be successful, then do. So just lastly, we've got the King's Cup coming up now on the 26th to the 28th of June. It's a soccer tournament, football tournament I've organized. I wanted to do it that great way. I've invited 8 football clubs and 8 schools. Yeah. So I've done the same thing now. I've got Orlando Pirates, I've got SuperSport, I've got EXC, and then I've got top schools.
Okay.
And Kings is the host, and it's a top school. And 2 weeks ago, I wanted to give up because the teams were not coming. And then my wife stopped me and she said to me, let's pray. I remember it was a Monday night. She says, let's pray. She prayed. She says, Lord, I'm ready. And next morning, 2 clubs confirmed. 2 weeks later, we got the 10 teams.
Oh, amazing.
I'm just learning that, if you want something to be successful, you have to include the people that's with you on the journey. You pray to God and you take the people that's with you on the journey. Because if your wife doesn't approve of what you're doing here, we think that we might be successful. But when I think our biggest supporters should be at home. Because they see the best and the worst of us. And I think if they're not on board, then what we do is just going to be for ourselves. So I'm quite excited about that. It's coming up. And again, it's balancing education with sport. And I want to show the boys that those who are in schools, that you can play against guys at the club. And at the same time, I want to show the guys at the clubs that if you stay at school, you can be both. You can play football and you can do.
Awesome.
So I'm quite excited about
that. No, that is fantastic, Ricardo. Well, guys, a story of, you'd think that Cristiano Ronaldo was the only person in the world with such great discipline in football, right? Yeah. Well, Now you know another. Ricardo Katza applying discipline in areas that perhaps you didn't give much thought to. And all he did was focus on 3 areas of his game that he knew he was really good at. And he made an amazing career out of that. So it just goes to show that with hard work and discipline, things that you may have thought was impossible can be possible. So with that being said as well, please let us know in the comments if there are any things that you agree with or disagree with. Curious to know your thoughts on whether you think your spiritual beliefs in the spiritual world can have an impact on what happens in the physical, whether it be in the boardroom or on the sports field. Let us know your thoughts on that. So with that being said, Ricardo Katza, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming through, my man. All right, and everybody back at home listening and watching, please stay locked in with us. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're here to ignite your light and keep it burning bright. That's right. We are EXC-i8.
That's cool.
Cool. Thanks, Ricardo.
No problem. Thank you for having me. That's so cool.